So the project, or the reason that I wanted to start this project, is because there's this whole hype cycle that we're going through with AI at the moment. And everyone's throwing out tools and, oh, here's a bunch of prompts and stuff, but I'm not seeing lots of people actually using it. So I started looking for stories about how people are actually incorporating this into their work and their life. And it was surprisingly hard, and there aren't loads of stories out there. So I wanted to work with writers like you to kind of go out every week and find interesting stories about how real people are actually using this, rather than just kind of, here's a hypothetical use case of how this could be used, versus here's a real person who's actually doing something with that. I know that you found a bunch of stuff around cooking, but that's all I know. So please tell me, how did it go? What happened?
Okay, so cooking subject matter was a little bit different than, for example, like the educational one that we were talking about last week. I found a Katie Horrell, right, is her name, and she's a dietitian and nutritionist. She had a lot of different ideas and ways that she was going to start using it for her clients specifically and herself. The way that she started out was kind of by basing this on one of the main things that a lot of people struggle with when they're just trying to cook in general is coming up with things to cook. I mean, that's half the battle, trying to like figure out, hey, what am I going to cook for dinner tonight? Tell me some meal ideas for a vegan mom of 3. And so then ChatGPT gave her a list of about 10 different meal options that a vegan could eat. So then after that, she would take it and say, okay, can you make this into a meal plan? And then when she asked it to make this into a meal plan, it came out with Monday, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Tuesday, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So like super planned, everything you're going to eat for the following week. Then she was a little more specific with it, saying, make me a paleo meal plan with 40% carbs, 30% from fat, and 30% from protein.
How far did she take it? So she went, okay, give me some ideas for stuff to eat, and then give me a meal plan, so like schedule it out. But then did she get specific recipes, or did she get shopping lists? Like, did she take it all the way?
So she did not take it to the recipes, although she did mention like, now you can either go search on Google for your recipe, which I don't know why, if you're this far, why don't you just ask YouTube recipe? But she just kind of like left that idea. And then she did go for the shopping list though, which as soon as she told me about the shopping list, I'm not going to lie, I switched over to ChatGPT and made a shopping list for myself, because I thought, like, how useful is that?
Something that I wanted to try. I haven't actually got around to doing it, but a bunch of times, like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that for dinner tonight, is trying to figure out the right prompt. I was really hoping she had something like this so I could just steal the prompt and try figuring it out for myself. But what I wanted to do is just tell it what I have in my fridge. Be like, now come up with something based on this reality. What can I make?
She didn't have that, but let me tell you, there is other people who have done that, and it is a success. It is a success. Don't worry, like, you can definitely do that.
One question I had, or when I was talking about it, was, but do I want to make something like right now least effort, or do I want to put like, I've got 2 hours, what can you suggest?
The more specific you are with the prompts, the better output you're going to get. You can tell it, like, you can enter, I have 30 minutes to make this meal, give me a meal based on this, this, and this that I can cook quickly. One of the off the top of my head, I remember this prompt that one girl said, I need a meal that I can cook quickly and eat at my desk because I don't get to leave for lunch, right? And so it specifically gave her, I think it was like a wrap or something like that it gave her. But, like, she was getting pretty specific with it. So, like, I mean, the nutritionist was specific on as far as like what she wanted out of the nutrition, but you can also get specific as far as like ingredients. I'm allergic to blueberries. Don't suggest anything with blueberries. Like you said, I have 30 minutes. What can I cook with this? The tone of voice, right, is a big thing with ChatGPT, because you can, when you're writing, you can ask it to write in a specific famous person's tone of voice. With the cooking thing, there was one that came up with the idea of create a recipe in the style of your favorite famous chef.
I didn't think of that.
Or write a recipe using leftover pasta. The more specific you get, the more outcome you're going to get. A lot of people were mentioning when they were going through these recipes is how ChatGPT is interactive. And it's kind of different than Googling, because if you're Googling something and you're finding a recipe, you can't ask the recipe to modify something. That was one of the things that the nutritionist gave gave an example of too was modifications. So it gives you a recipe and then you say, okay, but I'm allergic to blueberries, so please take those out. Or I don't like yogurt, so please substitute that. Something like that. Essentially having a virtual chef in their kitchen that they're typing back and forth
with. We're talking about using ChatGPT here, or maybe some other portal, but were there other tools outside of just prompts that you can use in ChatGPT? Were there more dedicated suites or tools or things built on ChatGPT that you can sign into that is just for this and keeps your recipes? Anything like that?
Yes. So, yes, there is. So a guy named Stefano Cantu, he basically back in November, I think it was back in November, from what I can tell, is when he kind of had this idea. I'm not sure exactly when it got up and running, but he created something called Chef GPT. So the first mode is Pantry Chef, and this is the free version. So if you sign up for this, you can use it for free. There's a limited amount of recipes that you get for the free version. I think it's 5 per month, and you only get access to the Pantry Chef, which this Pantry Chef is going to do exactly what you were wanting it to do before. You're entering in here. It's showing you kind of a little example. But you're entering up at the top all of the ingredients that you have on hand. It's asking what you have in your kitchen. So maybe you have a barbecue and a blender or whatever. How much time you have. Okay, so this is another thing we were just talking about. And what else did it say? Okay, are you a good chef, right? Your cooking expertise level. And it's going to spit out a recipe, instructions, ingredients, and so forth, right? So then if you want to pay for the version, you can get different modes here. The Master Chef, I think it gives you elevated cooking recipes, which is not much different than the top. The macros, it will give you more information about the carbs, protein, fats. And this is, I think, would be more useful for like the nutritionists and dietitians out there, or people who are specifically, trying to follow like a specific diet, similar to maybe your fitness apps and things like that, where you can plug in how many calories you want to eat and it can give you some recipe suggestions there. Meal planning. This is similar to what we were doing before with the meal planning on ChatGPT. Pair Perfect, which is also a cool feature. It's pairing different wines or also non-alcoholic beverages with what you're eating. Which for experienced chefs, it could be important. I don't see it on this list, but there was one here that was shopping lists, to create shopping lists out of everything, which was part of the paid subscription as well. One other cool thing that I thought was neat, and it's not necessarily a use case, but I did include it because I thought it was really cool. This professional chef and YouTuber ChatGPT to a cooking competition, I think on a lot of people's minds was, okay, but does it actually taste good, right? Does ChatGPT produce good recipes, or is it, a basic like sandwich or something like that? The chef put it to the test with his little GPT challenge, and it turned out pretty cool. Like there's a video that you can watch the entire video. It's a pretty long video, but he basically said, he had ChatGPT prompt him 10 random ingredients. Then he ran that through a number generator and selected 3 random ingredients that each one of them was going to come up with a recipe for. So the professional chef came up with a recipe. ChatGPT came up with a recipe using those 3 ingredients, right? The chef cooked both of them, and then he had one of his friends do the judgment on like which one was better.
Well, don't tell me who won. Like I'll go watch the video and then
I won't tell you. It was a funny, it was a kind of fun little thing, and again, a good example of how ChatGPT can be pretty interactive, because when you watch the video, even he was shocked about it. Like ChatGPT started asking him questions. It was kind of like this back and forth on like, okay, like I can do a competition with you, but just so you know, I can't cook. So a little bit of AI humor, I guess.
So we're talking about using generative AI in the case of kind of, I'm a hungry person and I want to figure out what to cook for dinner tonight, which there's a whole bunch of tips and ways people are using it. And someone kind of took all of those and put them into a product. And it seems to be doing fairly well, or well, we don't know. Like it works and it seems to pop up in multiple places on the internet. But then we were also talking about Katie, who is a dietitian, and she's coming at it from the angle of I have lots of people that have problems and specific requirements around food, and she's using it to generate recipe, meal plans, shopping lists for her clients.